Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Alice. You're watching Math Videos for Parents. We help you so that you can help your kids with math. And today we're talking about generating equivalent fractions, but today we're talking about doing it through division. So I'm just going to dive in and look at this first question. It's asking for two equivalent fractions for 8 over 12. So I'm going to say, okay, I look at those numbers and I think, well, I could divide both by 4. And that's going to give me 2 over 3. And John, I was raised to call that reducing, but my understanding is we don't use that term anymore because it makes it sound like we're making the fraction itself smaller. When it's still the same ratio, we're just using smaller numbers.
Smaller
so we say
numbers,
it's an
right?
equivalent fraction. Is that correct?
Right. I was also brought up with being told to reduce the fraction, but that to students who are learning fractions at a young age, they view that as making the fraction itself smaller, when that's actually not the case. It's more about the numbers being smaller. If you saw our previous video on generating through multiplication, you might recall that we first did it in a very visual way with rectangles. So for something like 8 over 12, that's similar to saying if I had these 12 rectangles all the same size, although my drawing skills are not that great, so they might not all be the same size. Shading 8 of them like this, that's 8 out of 12, but we can also take those horizontal lines away and look at it instead as we really just have 2 out of 3 rectangles shaded. The rectangles are bigger, but there's fewer of them. So saying something like 8 out of 12 shaded is equivalent to saying 2 out of 3 are shaded of the same overall structure.
Perfect. You're still looking at like the amount of the whole in a way.
Exactly.
Okay, so then if we needed to generate another equivalent fraction, I could just say, well, both these numbers are divisible by 2. So I could divide them both by 2. And I remember I have to do it to the numerator and the denominator.
Mhm.
And I'm going to get 4 6. So that would be another equivalent fraction to 8 12.
Exactly. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, great. So, John, do you want to take it away for the second question?
Sure. And I guess what I want to add on to is that I think this is a little more difficult than multiplication, because with multiplication, we were able to choose what we want to multiply by. With division, we have to take this extra step to make sure that what we're dividing by can even go in evenly. Technically, if you divide by something that doesn't go in evenly, you'll still get an equivalent fraction. It won't really make much sense for our younger learners. We try to have them stick to numbers that actually are factors of the given number. So when you chose to divide by 4 and 2, you probably did that because you saw even numbers. And when numbers are even, we know that 2 goes in, then we can try 4, we can try other numbers. So when I see
And you
20...
bring up a good point, John. They have to go in evenly to both the numerator and the denominator.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah.
So when I see 25 and 100, I'm not going to have the luxury of being able to try 2 because 25 is not even. So I have to think of something different. And I remember my teacher saying, if I have things that end in 5 or 0, a great starting point would be to divide by 5 itself. So we can start with that, divide each of these by 5, and I get out 5/10 for the first one. 5/20. Whoops, 5 over 20. At least I got it before we finished the video. That would have been
Exactly.
bad. 5 out of 20.
I had your back, don't worry.
Yeah. But see, yeah, I was thinking as I went through, like 25 over 100, like I'm thinking that's like a quarter, out of $1. That's a small amount. And then when I got 5 out of 10, I'm like, wait a minute, that's half. Like that's 2 quarters. That's not going to work. So it's good to always think too, as you're going
Good to always
through.
check your work that way.
And now with 5 over 20, I'm kind of in the same boat again. I don't have any. They're not both even, so I can't divide by 2, but they end in 5 and 0 again. So I could try dividing by 5 one more time, and that'll bring me down to the smallest integers I could possibly use to create an equivalent fraction, and that would be 1 out of 4. So my equivalent fraction...
earlier what you were just saying about how it's a quarter.
Exactly. Yep.
A nickel. I'm sorry, a quarter of $1.
Exactly. So these would be mine. And these are the only two that I can come up with. I divided by 5. 3 is not a possibility. 4 wasn't a possibility. So, this is as far as I could go. And I think the same for yours as well. We couldn't have gone any further And once we get to a certain point, the numbers don't share anything in common anymore.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. It's a good way to think through how, different fractions can represent the same thing, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So now on this problem here, we're being asked to determine, to write a fraction of what amount of this spinner is white. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to count, say, okay, I've got 2 portions here that are white. So that's going to be my numerator. And then my denominator is going to be, the total number of parts of the spinner. So I'll just keep counting 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I would say 2/8 of the spinner is shaded white.
And if I wanted to generate an equivalent fraction for it, what I could do is look at these numbers and, oh, wow, they're both even. So I could divide these each by 2. And that gives me out an equivalent fraction of 1 out of 4. So if I were playing this game at the boardwalk and I picked white, I'm probably going to lose. Like I don't have a good I have a 1 in 4 chance that I will win this game for the hand to land on a white sector.
You'd have to keep your fingers crossed.
Yes. So I'll lose my quarter at the boardwalk.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We hope you found this video helpful. We're Math Videos for Parents, and feel free to reach out with us with any problem requests.
Take care.